Hey everyone, welcome to our site training. Today we're going to be going over the basics of updating your site. We will be using a demo site, so things might look a little different than what you find on your site. The first thing that we're going to go over is logging in. To log in, we'll go to the page vividimage.net/login. That'll bring us to this login screen where you can enter in your email and your password. If you don't remember your password, there is a forgot password link that you can click and will help you reset your password. Once your username and password are entered, click the login button and it'll bring you to the site overview page. There's a couple different things to see in here. The first that I'll go over is your account information. So in the top right-hand corner, there's this user icon and then account. If we click on that, we'll see our account settings. In here, you can change your profile name or you can change your email or your password. To get back out to that site overview page, we'll click Sites in the top right-hand corner and we'll be brought back here. Another thing on this page is the stats section. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a demo site, so it's not currently something that's live and collecting data. However, your site is live and is collecting information. So in this section, what you'll be able to see is a quick little view of some site visits, so the users that have been on your site, and you'll be able to see what percentage of them were viewing on a mobile device and what percentage were on a desktop device. There's also an option to open full stats, which will take us to this page. And as I said, this is a demo site. There's no data in here right now. Yours will look a little different than this. But as you can see, there's quite a few tabs over here, and this just will have information and data about your site and the people who view it. Going back over to the site overview, there's this last section with the form responses. So on your site, there will be forms and people will be able to submit information to the forms. One place that you'll be able to find these responses is in this section down here. So you'll be able to see the information that they've submitted. Another thing on this page to note is the Help Center. So up in this top bar, there is this little question mark icon. If we click on that, it'll open a new tab that says Website Help. With this Help Center, there's a couple different things that you can see in here. If we click on Website Builder, this will give us a lot of information. So these are all links to different articles. Some of them contain videos, and they'll just help you go through and make any edits to your site, give you more information about things that we're going to talk about today. But just another resource for you to go in and help yourself if you need it. So now that we've seen the site overview, we can get into actually editing the site by clicking this edit button. Once you click the edit button, it brings us here. On your site, you will see your homepage in this center area, but the layout of the editor will stay the same. So I'm going to review this top bar and left bar to show you how to find different tools that you might need as you're editing. Starting on the left-hand side of this top bar, we have our pages drop down. So this is how you can navigate to the different pages that show up on your site. You'll be able to click on these and it'll take you to that page. Next to that, we have the three different viewports. Currently, we're on the large desktop view. You could change it to the tablet or mobile view and see what your site looks like on those different views. You also can make edits from these different viewports. Going over to the right-hand side, first thing that I'll talk about are the undo and redo buttons. So these are for undoing any edits that you might make on your site or redoing any of the edits that you've undone. One thing to note about this is they are limited, so you can't undo and undo and undo so far back. It's really good for just quick edits, just here and there, but not something to rely on. That would be site backups, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Next to the undo and redo buttons, we have the preview button. As you can see, when I hover over the site, there's all these blue lines and boxes that show up. If you're making edits on your site and want to see what it looks like without all of those lines, we can click preview and we'll be able to see everything without the lines. In this view, we also can see it on tablet and desktop. We have our tablet and mobile, and we have all of these options up here that you can click and just see your site in multiple different ways. To get back to your regular editor, just click back to editor and you'll see all the blue boxes are here again. Next to the preview button, we have this orange button. Currently, this one says publish since this site is not live. However, your button will actually say republish. So for this button, you will want to click it to push any changes live. So as you're back here making any edits to your site, they're all automatically saving to the editor. And once you're ready to actually push those changes live so that other people see those changes when they go to your site, make sure you click the republish button. That allows other people to see the changes. Again, we have the question mark icon. This takes us to that same help center that we saw on the site overview page. And lastly, we have the little home icon. This will take you back to the site overview page. Now, jumping over to the bar on the left side, couple things over here that we'll look at. The first one is pages. So similar to the drop down that we saw up here, we have all of the pages that are on our site. You can also use this to navigate to the different pages. There's also these 3 dots that will give us more options throughout the pages, and I'll go over those more in a little bit. The next one down is widgets. So your site is made up of a whole bunch of widgets, and we can see all of those in this tab. The most popular ones that are on your site would be text, image, and button, which are at the top in this frequently used section. I'll go over more about widgets and how to edit those later, but as a reminder, here's where you can find them. Underneath widgets, we have content, and in here we want to click on the Media Manager. This brings up our Media Manager, which contains any type of media that we have uploaded to our site. So any images or any PDFs that we have, we could find all of those here. Images are in this tab. PDFs would show up in this Files tab, although there aren't any on this site currently. In here, you can also upload images to the site. So if you click Upload Images, it'll open up your file picker on your computer to be able to add in new pictures or new files. Another thing that's in the left side bar is the Personalize tab. This is where you'll be able to find the notification bar if you have that on your site. Later in the training, I'll go over how to edit your notification bar, but you can find it here underneath Personalize. We also have this SEO and settings, and there's 2 things in here to see. The first one is Manage Form Responses. So right now on the site, there's nothing showing up since none of the forms are currently live since the site is not live. However, once the site is live and forms are being submitted, you'll be able to find those responses here, and it will look like the same form responses area that we saw on the site overview page. The last thing to see over here is the site backup. So with the site backup, as I mentioned earlier, undo and redo can only go so far as you're making edits. We always want to make sure that we save a backup of our site before we start making any edits, because what that will do is save a version of our site as it is before any edits are made. In case you do make edits and make changes that you decide you want to revert back to the original in the future, you can go here and restore old backups, and it'll take it back to what we saved before. So I am going to go ahead and create a backup. I'm going to name it before training. One thing to note with the names of these backups is that they can't have any spaces in them. So you'll have to separate any words with something like a hyphen or an underscore, whatever works best for you. So type in your name and then click save, and it'll add the backup to our list down here. Always make sure that you back up a site. It's really good to get in that habit before making edits to your site. Now that you have an understanding of the editor layout, we're going to go into actually editing your site. We've already gone ahead and created our backup, so we're ready to start our editing. The first thing that we'll look at is pages. So going over into the left side pages tab, we have our pages that show up here, and we have several options that we can do with the different pages. The three main things to note in here would be renaming, duplicating, and the page URL. So the first one, rename, we can click on this and it'll give us the option to change the name of our page. To do this, you would just type in whatever you want to change it to, click rename, and it'll change the name up here. We also have the option to duplicate pages. So if you wanted to add a new page to your site, there's two ways that we can do that. We can either click the add page option and then start with a blank page, or we could duplicate an existing page and then change the content on our new one. So if we click the three dots and click duplicate, it'll have us rename the page to whatever we want to change it to. We'll change this to services copy and then duplicate, and then that will show up in our pages tab. The last thing is page URL. So if we click on this, we can see the URL for our page. So this is the part that shows up at the end of the URL at the top of our screen. It's important to make sure that the page URL matches up with the page name. That way users can see what page they're on up here matches the page that they're on the site. If we head over to the services page, we can start seeing how to actually edit different blocks or widgets that are on our site. So as I mentioned earlier, as we're hovering over things, all of these blue boxes are showing up around different items. This just means that these are different widgets that you can go in and edit. First one that we'll go over is text. So if I click on one of these text boxes, I'll get this pop-up that shows up. Super similar to any word editor or document editor, we have some basic options such as bolding the text, italicizing, underlining it. We also could go in and change the color of our text or the font or the size. However, one thing that's really nice is we actually have styles set up already on your site. The styles can be found in this drop down here. Right now it's set to paragraph since this is body text. We also could change it to a heading, and for that we have 6 different heading sizes and styles that are saved. Heading 1, we always use that only one time on a page, and that's always the title of the page that we find at the top. Going down from that, the next level of heading that we would use is a heading 2. If we wanted a subheading under that, we would use heading 3 and so forth. One thing that's really nice about the style is that you don't have to worry about changing the color, the font, or the size since it's already set up for you, so you don't have to do that extra step. We also can align our text in different ways. Right now it is aligned to the side. We could also align it to the center or the other side. We also could add lists to our text. So we could add a numbered list, and as you're going in here, you can just click enter and add a new list item. You also could change your list into a bulleted list. So this just adds bullet points before it instead of numbers like a numbered list has. Another thing in here are undo and redo buttons. Again, just like the undo and redo buttons worked in our top bar, the undo and redo buttons work the same here. However, they are unique to just this text box. So if we click undo, we can see it taking away the list that we had created. We could redo and add those back in, but we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Once you're done making any text edits, you'll want to click this green check mark to confirm you're done making your edits in there. The next thing that I'll go over are links. So links can be used in multiple places on our site and in multiple widgets. I'll show it in the text widget, but they can be used on pictures, they're used on buttons, lots of different widgets on your site. So for text, to add a link, you highlight the text that you would like to link out to, and then click this little chain icon, and we'll see our link panel. These options that you see on here are the same options that you'll see anywhere else that you want to add a link on your site. So the first one is for existing site pages. If we look at this dropdown, we can see all of the different pages that we have on our site. So we can just click on one. We can say that we want to link that text to the contact page. And now when a user clicks on that, they'll be directed there. We also have the option to link to a web address. So this would be for any site that, or any page that's not on your site. So to any outside sites, you want to be linking with the web address. So you would copy and paste the URL of your site here. And then we always want to make sure that we have this button checked for open in a new window. This ensures that the link will open up in a new tab beside your site so that users don't lose your site. Another link option we'll talk about is the anchor. So right now we are on the services page and we have an anchor that we could add that goes to new heading. So what this does is when a user clicks on this link, they would be brought to the services page and they would specifically be brought down to this section with the new heading. Another way that we could link things is to an email address. So if we wanted to add an email address that when people click on this link, it will open up their mail app and start an email. We can choose one of the emails that's set up in your site already, or you could start typing in a new email that you want to add. Very similar, we have the click to call option. So for this one, users would click on the link and it'll open up their phone app and allow them to call the number that's linked. For numbers, we can choose one that's already in there, or we can start typing in a new number and add in that. The last option is the file for download. So if you have any PDFs on your site that you want to link directly to, you can click this add file button and we'll have our file library open up. Any PDFs that you already have uploaded to your site would show up in this area here. Any PDFs that you want to add to your site that aren't already in here, you can just click the Upload Files button. It'll open up your File Explorer on your computer and let you choose what you want to add to the site. Once you have your PDF chosen that you'll add, you'll just click the Done button and it'll add it in and people will be able to open it up. One thing to note with PDFs, they automatically always open in a new tab, so you don't have to worry about clicking open in a new window like you do with the web address. Once you have a link added to your text, you'll be able to see that your text is underlined. If you want to remove a link from your text, all you'll have to do is highlight that text again and then click Remove Link at the bottom, and it'll take it out for you. Another widget that's commonly used on our sites are images. So if we click on this, we will have the image content panel show up. With images, things that you'll probably commonly be doing with them would be replacing them or maybe adding a link to them. So to replace your picture, you click on it, we have our image content panel, and then we click the replace button, and our image picker will show up. This will show us any pictures that we have uploaded to our site already, and you can go ahead and upload new ones from your computer if you have a new one that you'd like to add. So you can just click on the picture and it'll automatically replace the other one. If you want to link your image to another page or any of the other options that we had shown, there's this little button for link image, and we'll have all of those same link options that we had for our text show up here. Another common widget that's used on our sites are buttons. So if we click this Contact Us button, we have the button content panel show up. If we want to edit the text that shows up on the button, we can just start typing in here. You can take away text, whatever works best. And then if we scroll down, we have to choose where our button links to, because buttons always have to link to something. And in the link options, we get all of the same options that we had for both the text and the pictures. Another widget that's used on some sites is a photo gallery. Photo gallery is very similar to an image, except it allows for multiple pictures to be uploaded in one widget. This is commonly used for things such as staff photos or logos for different associations that you might be a part of, or sometimes just to show multiple images like we see in our example here. A couple things that you can do with these would be replacing pictures, which works exactly the same as it does in the regular image widget. We also, in photo gallery widget, can add titles and descriptions, most commonly used in staff situations where you'll have the staff member's name and then some type of description underneath them. That's a common way that photo galleries are used on a site. And so this title and description underneath the image in the photo gallery is where you would find those settings to edit. You also can add links to these images. So if these were a set of logos of associations that you were a part of and you wanted to link out to those sites, if we scroll down again, we'll see this edit link button and we'll get all of those same link options that we've seen earlier. The last thing with widgets that I'll show is how to add them and how to move them around. So widgets are actually super easy to add to your site. We can use just drag and drop. So if we wanted to add text to our page, click on the text widget and drag it to our site. So we can see that we have these blue boxes pop up and we have options that show us that we can insert the text widget here, we can move it here. There's lots of different options for where we can place this widget. So I'm going to drop it here. And then we get just a normal text box that we can go in and edit. If you want to remove a widget, when we hover over it, there's this little X that shows up in the corner. So we can just click on that and it'll get rid of the widget. One thing that you might want to know how to do is to actually move around widgets. So if you wanted this button to show up above this photo gallery, you actually can just click and drag and it'll let you move it very easily. Another part of your site that's important are the forms. So these are commonly found on pages such as the contact page or maybe an employment page on your site. And so we're going to go over what the default form editor looks like. So on our contact page, we have this form, so we can click on this and we'll see that we have these different fields for our form. So we have a name field, we have an email, phone, and message, and you can see all of those fields show up here. We also have the submit button, and we can change what shows up on there just by typing in here. One thing with forms is that when the user fills out all this information in here, the form has to go somewhere. So if we click submission, new submission notification, we can see that this form is set up to go to 2 different email addresses right now. You can set it up with multiple email addresses. You could have forms going to just one email address, whatever works best for you in the form. To have multiple email addresses, it's important to remember that they need to be separated by a comma. And then another thing is that once users submit the form, there's actions after submission. So for here, we can see that once someone fills out this form and clicks submit, there will be a thank you message that pops up. If you want to edit what this thank you message says, you can click in here and type as normal. There's also an error message that shows up if something were to go wrong when submitting the form, and you can go ahead and edit this and change that to say whatever message you would like. And then as a reminder with forms, the 2 spots that you can find your form submissions are under the SEO and settings tab underneath form responses or on that initial site overview page at the bottom. The last item to go over is the notification bar. This is something that you may or may not have on your site currently. If you do, you can find the notification bar in the left-hand tab underneath Personalize. So with Personalize, there's this notification bar. So if we click on this, it'll bring us to this page. At the bottom, there's this little button that says Continue Editing, and here we'll be able to see what our notification bar looks like. This is commonly used to show people on your site something important that they'll want to see. So if we click Preview Rule, it'll show us what our site looks like. We have this notification bar that pops up at the bottom, and it'll stay there so that as users are going through your site, they'll have this message here telling them that there's something important to look at. I'm going to exit this preview mode and go back into editing. So with your notification bar, to edit it, it's just text. You can go in here and type in whatever you would like this to say. If you'd like to link to a specific page on your site, maybe you want people to see something specific, you're calling out something, you can highlight the text and click the little chain icon, and we'll get all of those same link options that we've seen on the different widgets. Once you're done editing your notification bar, you can just click Done at the bottom, and it'll save your rule for you. And that concludes our training overview for today. As a reminder, we do have the Help Center up here in this top bar. You can find it on both the editor and the site overview page. That's helpful for if you have any further questions, but please let us know if you run into any issues or have more questions that haven't been answered. Thanks.